Hi David, thank you for joining me today. How are you?
I am doing much better. Thank you for asking.
Ah, interesting. So I'm not really sure how this works with you. I have watched a few of your videos, so I've heard some of your amazing stories and things like that. And I watched the video that you did with Audrey recently, talking about her galactic family and things like that. And I would love to find out more about who I am and what connections I have. I do have a few recall coming in, and a few unusual experiences with ET. Nothing major like yours though. But yeah, let me know how does this work?
So basically how it works is I start talking to you and whatever comes in comes through. If you have like a certain set of questions to prod anything, that'll start and I just get downloads. So I don't usually know what I know until I start talking to the person.
Oh wow, that's really interesting. Okay. Yeah, I have been drawn to you for a while, but I didn't really want to reach out. And then when I saw we are in the same group, I thought brilliant. Um, I don't have a lot of memories from when I was a child, and recently I did get a flash memory come back, and it was about the time travel crystal, the IBIS Project crystal. And I saw
Okay.
myself holding this kaleidoscope crystal, and I knew I was about 7 or 8 years old because I know what bedroom I was in at the time. So that's one of my most recent things that's come in. I did have an interview with the ACIO, which should be getting released soon, and we went into a few different projects that I'm in. But I know that I was taken to an ET classroom, and I believe I was there with Brian Singh.
Okay. Brian gets
Remember
around
that?
a lot.
Hey, yeah,
Brian gets around a lot. The thing is
yeah,
he says he has no memories of it, and from what I've spoken to him about, he doesn't.
yeah.
I also remember working with him as well in the program. So
Okay, cool. And
um, if you want, we can talk about IBIS for a little bit.
yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
Okay. So for those who don't know, IBIS is a program that was started, I want to say, by the military to look for specific souls who are important or carry a certain strength or ability. So basically, when someone chooses to incarnate on Earth, you have to, submit yourself to who's ever in charge, get that in there, and somehow that these organizations found out who the soul is, they got access to it, and as soon as they're taken as a child, they're usually taken and then trying to get engineered to serve whichever power is in place right now. I was also in IBIS. I was also in Monarch.
Mm.
Um, I was in Kruger. I was in Solar Warden. I was in Knockwaffen. Yeah, I got around a lot. I don't have full memory or full recalls of everything. One of the most frustrating things for me is I can't remember names. I can't remember names of people I was. I can't remember names of people I worked with. I can't remember my ships. I can remember events in great detail of what they happened, but the names and some of the dates are just permanently blocked for me. It's like they're not letting me see that one because people often ask me, they go, "Well, David, you seem to have amazing recall. How do you get that?" The reality is part of the thing I had to do was I'm also a time traveler. I have memories coming back. I want to say 80 years, something went wrong and we're trying to fix it, and I think we're doing it. But so I have those memories and I have to live all those other lives and I have all these other alters and everything else. So I really don't like time travel, but that's just it's part of it and we have to deal with it. But for IBIS, they will take you and if for those it's basically they're looking for like the old gods.
Mm.
The short version, they're looking for the old gods from the mythology and they're putting them into weapons now. That's what they are now. So I don't know if yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, so I from the ACIO records, I was born in 1920, and I was trained in like paperclip, project, I'm going to forget them all now, mannequin and Camelot, and there was a disaster. I was working in a dome in Arizona, and there was some kind of disaster where I was blinded, but then my sight came back because I was given like Lyran skin grafts, they said. So, but apparently that's affected my DNA across all of my versions, which is unusual. So I know I was a Kruger scientist because it's there in the records. I know it was Monarch and Umbrella because they've The Kruger apparently rescued us and then put us into their own projects.
Right.
So I'm Brian,
That
and
might be a little sketchy on that one. Kruger's not as noble as they seem to can be. They're from what my understanding is, they're being a lot of the secret space organizations and the military space police are being repurposed and reorganized because they've been doing a lot of horrible stuff for a really long time, and now people are finally realizing they can do some good, but you guys can't be this offensive pirate thing that you've been for the last
yeah.
couple, however long we've been out there. Then time travel is confusing. Um, so yeah, about the crew, like I said, I was reading, watching your thing, and you mentioned you have seen a couple of your clones in person.
Yeah. So I've seen one in France who was across the street from me, and there was a definite physical reaction in my body, and it was just kind of, this was like 10 years ago now or less, so it was a bit of I didn't know what that was, but it stuck with me. And then when I lived near London, people used to always say to me, do you work in this nightclub? She looks exactly like you. So I've only met that one in person, but I've got a lot of clones, and I've been working with Sean Bond to disconnect myself basically from these
I was
clones.
gonna say, because yeah, they took me and cloned me a bunch of times. They're still trying to
Yeah,
clone me. I have to literally fight them almost daily in this.
yeah,
One of the easiest ways to do it that I had to do was I told myself when I realized that I had been cloned was I called out to my soul and said, any part of my soul that's been taken and put in an artificial form, I
yeah,
free you. You can come home. I will know you, and you won't have to be in that pain anymore. And
yeah,
over the next couple of days, I took in a bunch of me. I'm still taking in me's. I do
yeah.
it every day. I also do daily meditation and visualizations of me literally canceling contracts. Like I have a stamp and it says cancel or void on it, and I just start stamping contracts.
Wow,
And I did that a couple of times. And the first time I did it, I stamped a contract in my mind, and poof, like a little reptilian being just popped right out of me. And
wow.
he was looking at me, and I'm like, I can see you. And he just scurried off.
That's amazing. So I did spend about a week trying to call back aspects of me, and I felt like my brain got kind of like a puzzle going ching 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 like
Yeah.
that for a few days. So I know I've definitely called in, and I did see a version of me in my mind that looked like Captain Marvel, but she had like this energy swirling around her eyes, which was amazing. Because I'm not very visual. I've only had some major like download sessions. I'm not like you. And so that was one of the main things I wanted to talk about. Yeah.
Well,
I've
I'm
had to
getting, I
write
know I
notes.
can see you were a scientist that much.
Yes.
And
That's
they were also some type of teacher, like,
I've had
so
one scientist memory, and it was years ago now, but I saw myself in a lab and there was like a super soldier right there, but a big, really big. And then suddenly I was in it, I was in its mind, and then I was back out. And I
yeah.
had that recall before I even started this process. I was working with a quantum healer, and he's like, yeah, I get what you were saying. That he was so blasé about it.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that you
yeah,
put yourself, you put your conscience in another body. That's pretty, it's a common practice.
right.
Um, when I did that to me and I put myself in other bodies, when I recently had a memory come back, I did a really intense healing. I did it with Misha, and she helped me get through the process. And one of the things was I had full recall of being on a ship and we were being deployed. I was in a clone body, and this was one of the few times that I was able to, at the time, resist the programming. And I remember saying, we shouldn't be doing this. This is wrong. These people are not our enemies. We shouldn't be doing this. And I remember being in these black, um, I want to say power suits, but we were heavily armored, cybernetic. And I remember our commanding officer was just yelling at me, get it together. We're being deployed. And I said, this is wrong. And he then starts screaming at me. Then he starts smacking me in the back of the head, telling me it's over. And then I said, I'm not going to do this. Then he calls and says, get this trash out of my sight. And then I had, because I was at this time, I was like the programming was coming undone. So I was emotionally compromised. So I was just like, this is wrong. These are all beings. We shouldn't be doing this. And then I get taken away by two reptilians. And they drag me down to the operating room. And they, like I said, I'm falling apart this time, and they strap me down, and there's a gray that comes over, and he cuts open my right side. no anesthesia, no nothing like that. And he reaches in and he takes out a egg-shaped blue power source. Apparently, that's what they use to keep the social to power the super soldiers. It's an extra organ. And they took it out, and afterwards they let me, I can still feel the hole being there and everything being depowered. And after that, they strapped me down after they left me open for about an hour just as punishment. So then they strapped me down, and I was with some other people that didn't make their cut for the thing. And I just remember at the time we were called failures, but I now realize that these souls were strong enough that they were able to resist the programming. That's a lot of what this SSP does is they have physical implants, chemical implants, behavioral modifications. Um, Most of the SSP people, if you who are active, if you ever meet one, you'll find that they can tend to be unbalanced.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is they need to be aggressive. Their bodies have been altered to be more aggressive because part of the way that they are able to enhance psychic abilities is through anger.
Hmm. That
So
explains a lot for me because my first 20 years was just pure rage. Just
been there.
rage.
I
Yeah.
been there. Yeah, it's
No
horrible.
idea where it was coming from. So I had a session with Jessica Morocco, and she said that because we were talking about the clones, and I said it just feels like that Orphan Black TV show. And I don't know if you've watched that, and she kind of said, yeah, but there's a male version. And she asked me, do you know Drago Reed? And I was like, well, not really, but there's like a resistance. I'm not really drawn to talk to him. She goes, I think he's the male version. As soon as she said it, I could see him across from me in like a lab, but I was like strapped upright and he was there, but he was like unconscious. And I had a session with him, just chatting. There's definitely some kind of connection. And since then, I've had a vision of me and him in the same situation, but I was being injected with like femtides or femto, whatever that is. Yeah, something to kind of regenerate the body.
Yeah,
And then
it's a three-part serum.
I've had two flash visions since then. One was we were in some kind of super suit and we were running, but there was loads of us, like it was a squadron or something. And then more recently, I've had a vision. I was in some kind of locker room, and then Drago was there with some others, but it was Arkeem Ra was just like screaming at me. And I just remember thinking, this is wrong. This feels wrong because he didn't have a shirt on. I remember that because that was really clear. So I don't know where we were, but he was screaming at me, and that just felt really uncomfortable. So I'm starting to get things now, but I don't like it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the hard part about the healing is having to basically because even though that we may look like them and those clones may have originated from us, they are not us. They have had their own life experiences and they are very different from us. And part of, for me, a long part of it was I had to realize that, yes, they were part of me, but they were taken and had their own lives and made their own decisions and had their own things. It's some way of help recognizing it's like a kind of a distance you have to put because when you realize how horrible these beings did what they did, and yeah, like I said, I've talked to Arkeem a few times in this life. He is a very nice, sweet, loving person who generally cares. And unfortunately, because he's talented, they've gotten him messed up. Now, I didn't actually serve with Arkeem. I remember like passing him in the halls at times, but he had his own command.
okay, that's interesting. Because I never thought any of this would apply to me. And now I'm starting to get things come in. Can you get any senses of any kind of ET ships or anything like that I would have been on or connections there? Because I don't
Okay,
remember much from when I was a kid at all. I know there was things there because I used to be terrified of going to sleep, right? And I used to
what I'm getting is they took you a lot. You got taken a lot around 8 to 12. Something had happened around there, and that's when they first became aware of you. Do you know how to go out of your time stream and fix that and heal
no,
that?
no,
Okay, so
yeah.
which I recently had to learn how to do this too. So what I do was I'm good. How are you at astral travel?
I don't really know what I do. I have no
Okay.
idea. I'm like a baby.
we'll start with the basics of shielding.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is go into a simple white shield, which is basically calling on the divine light of source to shine through your soul and form a protective layer. That's the most basic thing you can do. Just do that every single day, and that'll help. Now to astral travel, what you want to do is there's several ways to do it, so there's just not one way to do it. But this is the way I work for me, is you're going to get into a calm meditative state. Make sure you have, time, and this is going to be taking practice. So just don't be afraid if you're not going to get it the first time. Turn off your phone, give yourself like a good half hour to an hour just to work with. So you're going to go into a deep, relaxive state, deep breathing, and you're going to ask, I always say this, especially for the new people, ask for your angels or your spirit guides to help you. Because angels are tremendous wingmen. I cannot establish how good they are at what they do. So call them and they will show up. Say, I would like to learn how to astral travel. Please guide me to where I need to be. So that one will go to, instead of you don't end up in some far off world where you're like, oh my God, how do I get back here?
I have had some remote view training, but I'm a loose cannon.
Doesn't
I
matter.
really am. Yeah.
But I was completely out of it too, so it can be done. So you're going to go into a deeper relaxive state. You're going to call your meditation. You're going to put the white light around you. And over time, as you relax and go deeper and deeper, you're going to start feeling vibrations. The vibrations may be coming out of your feet, maybe on the top of your head, maybe in your back. You also may feel like you're slipping or you're falling. That's you literally leaving your body. And just keep doing that. It'll get better. It's a skill. We all have it. We can all do it. It just takes time to develop it. Some people are going to be better at it. I've gotten decent at it because I've been doing it for so many years, but that's the basics of what you have to do. Just do that. And once you're doing that, once you're actually outside of your body, another thing that you can actually do, which is a little bit more advanced, because you said you were doing remote viewing, do your remote viewing outside of your body. Don't like just be in it. Just you don't have to go to another place or anything. Just go a few feet. You'll find that you'll get a lot more accurate knowledge because you don't have the human bias or whatever it is. So that's one thing to do. But yeah, you were okay. So what you're gonna do is they've taken me out of time multiple times, so I know what it feels like. We'll explain. Basically, time is individual sheets. How I see it. So there'll be one here, one here, one here, one here. It's literally like an old moving picture, like an old reel of film. And what you have to do is you have to go outside that part. And once you'll be able to clearly see someone messing with your timeline. I recently found out that one of the times that I was taken was in my 20s. And so I went out of time and I saw this ET literally just going in, doing like it was the best thing. It was a gray one. I have major problems with the grays. That's just my own personal history and bias. I mean,
I
each
think it's me
species has their
too.
own.
They're messing with me a lot.
Yeah. So what I did was I saw him literally looking at me, trying to grab me, waiting like I was some type of like prize for him. And I just walked up and just started beat the shit out of him. He was terrified. He was like, "How are you here?" And I'm like, "I'm from the future, fucker. We're not doing this anymore." And I'm throwing him all over the place. I can see him. I'm like bashing him up against the ship, and I'm slamming him against the wall. I'm saying, "You do not get to touch me anymore. You are done. I want everything you took from me right back now." And I'm calling it all back. And he's like opening drawers and telling me, "Take it, take it, take it." And I says, "I want guarantee that this doesn't come back." And he goes, "I'm not coming back. I'm not coming back." I go, "I know you're not coming back." And then I burned him because
Whoa.
I've had enough. I've been under so much attack lately that I had to respond with force. There are certain beings who you can say back off, but if you don't actually have the ability to make them back off, they're not going to back off. And now I understand most people don't know how to do that. I was just one of the things I was able to do was create psychic fire, and I just burned him to
Oh,
ash. And then the other ones that were looking around him were like I said, "This is your only warning." They left. I also recently had to deal with little grays. Now, like I said, I have tall ones. There's so many different kinds of grays and so many different
yeah.
organizations.
The little zetas, they're the ones that are messing with me. And they keep, because I used to work in a nuclear plant. And so they were just upping my dose to see how much I could take.
Yeah.
So the clones could go and work in other places. Jessica saw them like handing me some packets, and she unlocked the packets and they were monitoring my dose. And I actually found that quite comforting.
Well, there's like
Know
two of
that
them
they were
right now that are
checking.
trying to sneak around you.
Yeah.
They're like trying to get stuff out of you that I won't see it, but I do see it. So
Yeah.
what you have to do, this is on you, and for anyone that's being harassed, you have to claim your sovereignty every single second of the day. Wake up in the wake up in the morning, look in the mirror, go, I am a sovereign being. I will not be violated. I did not consent to this. You have to say that out loud and mean it. Just building that self up, building that resistance makes it it makes it harder for them to come at you. Because right now they can come at you and like, okay, but unless you actually physically say, I do not consent, I'm a sovereign being, I will not be violated. So say it out loud right now, please.
Yeah, I'm a sovereign being. What's the rest?
Again,
I am a sovereign being. I do not consent. A sovereign being. Yeah.
congratulations. And they just gave me that thing of like, okay, fun's over.
Yeah, I do try, but I need to be more consistent. You're
Yeah,
right.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
I get it too. I mean, because like they come at me when I'm worn down, I'm like life's gotten to me, I'm exhausted, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, did they clone me again? They took me, damn it! I gotta go get that back. Yeah, so that's how they do that. But yeah, I'm glad you took back your sovereignty. Just maintain it, keep your shielding up.
Yeah.
Also, do you do intuitive writing or drawing?
I not as much as I should, but I'm trying to do that kind of thing more, automatic writing and stuff. Yeah.
Just do it a little bit a day. I mean, I know we can get overwhelmed with all the stuff we have to do. Plus, we actually have life stuff.
Yeah.
But just do a little bit. Just set some time, like for either astral travel or into writing, or just some time for yourself to bring yourself together.
Yeah, I'm
Also,
trying to make a timeline of my experiences because I forget. My mind gets wiped so much. So I'm trying to make an active timeline so that I can like talk to
journal,
you about this kind of stuff.
write
Yeah.
it out in hand, or even if you have to have your cell phone, press record and just talk whatever comes out. That one works too. I don't really like that one just because I prefer having it out that way, but you have to work with what you can get. Shielding, blah, 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 writing. Um, so the clones, you should be getting them back. If you just keep telling yourself before you go to bed, come back to me. I release you from these artificial forms. I love you. Welcome home. And if you have a particular song from when you were a child that meant something to you, sing that. You don't have to tell
Yeah.
anybody what that is. That
I'll have to
if
have
it
a
meant
think
something
about
to you,
that. Yeah.
and don't be surprised if in the next couple of
Song just
days.
popped into my head. I don't even know what it is.
Good, keep it, write
Yeah.
it down.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And you might find that now that you've reabsorbed some of your clones, two things might happen. One, you might get some visitors from angry ETs saying that that's theirs. It's not. Just may stay in your power and maintain your sovereignty. I know it's going to sound scary, but that's what you have to do. And second, you might sleep a lot for the next couple of weeks, like
I don't
unusually tight.
sleep. I don't sleep. I get targeted at night. So I
I
hardly
know.
sleep. Yeah. So it's like, I feel like I
You,
only sleep for about 15 minutes or something. And then I'm constantly waking up. That's how it feels.
that'll stop once you clearly establish to the ETs before you go to bed. Tell them, I do not consent to being taken tonight. I do not consent to any procedures. I'm a sovereign being. I will not be violated. You say that every single time you go before you go to sleep. If
Okay.
you wake up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, on your way to the bathroom, say I'm a sovereign being and I will not. You
Yeah.
have to keep projecting this, and that's what it's like. Their logic is they don't. I've been told that unless you physically say no, they understand. They have implied consent,
Yeah.
which is garbage. But that's some of the games they play. Things are changing, but yeah. What was the other thing we were talking about? I'm sorry, I got a little distracted. You had mentioned
We're
something
talking about
else.
going back in time.
Oh, right. Yes,
Yeah.
time. So yeah. So what you're going to do is once you learn how to astral travel, you go through the vibrations and you're going to go picture a timeline like a movie reel, and you'll see like three-dimensional slides of you, but they'll be single versions. They'll go there and you look for anyone that feels distorted or messed with, and then you go a little bit back and you can see usually that there are ETs there. Now, because I dealt with him, I've had other ET problems that have come from that are trying to take me and put me into the future. And then what they're really good at manipulation. One of the things they told me was they kept trying to take me and they kind of kept me put me back in the SSP. was one of the few people who managed to get away from them. A deal was cut. So I had something of value that they wanted and they gave it away. So, but yeah, they keep trying to get me back. And one of the things they were saying was, oh, no, yeah, you rejoined in 2034. That's why we took you. And I'm like, okay, first off, you're lying. I know you're lying because the body you put me in, I could feel how mutilated and third rate. I go, first off, you used a third rate clone on me, of me, not even a top generation, like a third generation back off. And they're like, well, if you supply us with new DNA, we will gladly make you a better version. And I go, you're not getting that. No.
Oh dear. See, I thought I was an original body, but ACIO said I was born in 1920. So how can this be an original body? It can't, can it? Because I was born in
Well,
1975 in this one. You know,
it could be that you're just you went to you used the AI system to tell you about that?
no, I
No?
had a meeting with the ACIO and they pulled the the Advanced Contact Intelligence Organization, Peter the Insider.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
I can
so
get
they
your
pulled
contact over.
the military files and he saw my original birth certificate. He gave me my name, my place of birth, everything.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'm, a little skeptical about stuff like that just
Yeah.
because of how often I've been manipulated. I try to focus on where I am right now as opposed to who I was because I find that just makes it easier. But
Yeah.
if that brings you peace from being from the
Yeah.
1920s,
No,
that's what
I'm because there's so many there's just so much for me to unpack from that session. It was like a 2.5 hour session and I grieved a lot in the first month afterwards, and I'm coming to terms with some things now and some things did make sense. But yeah, it's just I need to kind of know who I am and then I can move forward, because it's like this discovery process is going to help other people is how I see it. So I'm trying
yeah.
to get as much as I can so that I can help others, guide them on
Okay.
their awakening process as well. um Also, because they said that I was in the dark fleet, can you get an idea, am I
Yes.
just a scientist, am I just a teacher, what was I?
Yeah, you were a scientist, you were a teacher. The Dark Fleet, what they'll do is they'll take people who have amazing gifts and turn them into something else entirely. They literally make monsters. So
Okay.
just be patient with yourself and
Yeah.
remember that's not you. Okay, you were taken, cloned, and gone through training and stuff like that to do that stuff. So I always say
Yeah.
that because generally scientists in the Dark Fleet are not the nicest people.
Okay. Yeah.
So just be patient with yourself and give yourself time to heal.
I know not what I'm capable of, but I can understand what I could potentially be capable of. Yeah. So yeah, that's fine. I think
There's a lot
we
of
all know the dark side,
you
don't
did
we?
a lot of genetic manipulation on people.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Uh,
I know I
yeah,
was
you
a
had. I will
subject
say this
and
though,
a
you were very
scientist
good at
as
what you
well.
did.
Oh,
I
thank you.
will say you were very good at what you did.
I know I was a subject and a scientist, so I did things like there was a version of me that went through the same stuff. I know that. Right.
Right.
So it's just like in the Phoenix, I was both. I know that.
Okay, just like I said, be patient with yourself because
Yeah.
especially if you're the scientist, you a geneticist, you usually doing some bad stuff.
Mad scientist.
Oh God, yeah, please.
Thanks, David.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um.
Yeah. Okay, so I was watching a video by Peter the Insider, and he said a phrase which was master of observers, and it triggered me, and I got a massive download.
Well, can you explain what your downloaded was? Can you share that?
Yeah, so there was some of it was too fast, but a lot of it was tunnels. So it was me in the tunnels with somebody else, me observing the tunnels. There was me on a private plane, and I was freely on the plane. I was looking out of the window and everything. I don't know who I was with. um what else was there? There was
It was a
also, I was
small
watching,
Learjet, right? It was a small private one.
yeah, yeah, but it was like whitey cream inside. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You
um
were someone's guest.
okay. Okay.
You were being shown. Yeah, you were being flown to a specific location because they wanted to. I think you were being recruited for a job. Yeah, someone was, I'm getting something in like around, I want to say Crimea, somewhere around there. That's what I'm getting. That's what the
Okay.
flight was, or it was either, it was something to do with Crimea. Crimea.
Chimera.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay. So it just reminds me of like that Alias TV show where she was the spy, and yeah. I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, so the one of the other things I saw was a TV screen which was cartoons, but it was The Simpsons, but I knew they were real people. And I was watching and I was thinking, how can this be a whole reality of people that look like The Simpsons, yellow and blue? And that kind of freaked me out a little bit. And I was trying to question as much as I could, but I was
Hepatitis.
just like, sorry,
Hepatitis.
hepatitis.
Yeah, it turns people yellow.
Oh, anyway, it was so fast. I just don't know. So most of what I got was tunnels and things like that, and lab and that kind of thing. Yeah. But Master of Observers was the first time I've ever been activated freely like that. As in, I was trying to relax at the time. I was just kind of watching, listening, but I was kind of closing my eyes, and then massive download came in, and that's only happened to me a few times. One time I got a Stargate up here. Hold on, I just cough for a second. You make me very nervous.
Take your
Your
time.
vibration's very high. I find you very activating. So
Really, I
yeah.
thought you were going high. I'm sorry.
I try and match whoever I talk to.
Okay.
Even when it's like a galactic, I can usually match it okay, but you're like really activating. So yeah, so I've had a Stargate appear to me in my mind, but it was full golden. It had an Omega symbol on it. Spoke to Audrey Walters about it, and she said that's a personal Stargate that's like offline and it needed to be put back on, but I don't know how to do that. So I've only had a few visions come in like that, where it was like just came out of nowhere and kind of
You're going to be
smacked
getting
me in
more.
the face. Okay. Yeah.
You'll be getting a lot more. You're going to have to get used to that kind of stuff.
Okay. That's fine. I mean, I welcome that now. I'm ready for it now. But
Like
then
I
it
said,
was
just
like,
again, put your white shielding up every single morning. That needs to become like so automatic to you that you don't even think about it, that you have to do it. I want to worry people, like talk about the SSP has various AIs. They can be very, very dangerous. I have my own biases against AIs. I've recently had to get past that to honestly make kind of friends with it, to show it that there were other ways. Because right now the AIs are just used as weapons. They're used to make stories or influence minds or create serials. That's how they're doing it. One of the SSP people that I've been working with recently is a black mantis. And I didn't know about black mantises until in the last, say, 3 months. Prior to that, I had only dealt with mantises that were green and of high vibration and true spiritual beings. And I would hear people would tell me stories. Oh no, I saw the black mantises in the fleet. They're not to be taken lightly. I'm like, I had no experience with it, so I had to go on with that. Then I finally met one, and I'm like, because it took me, my first time meeting the black mantises was interesting because I was under a psychic attack and they were trying to get me to come back to a thing. And all of a sudden, this black mantis, and I'm meeting with this Air Force colonel in the base, and she just starts going, me, 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 and I'm like, excuse me? And she turns to me and gets very nasty, and she goes, you don't own the you don't own the monopoly on redemption arcs. Look around, we're all here for that. And I'm like, what a little attitude on you. And it was just like, so over the next couple of days, we started talking more and more. And one of the things she was getting to me, like I said, because I'd always seen mantises as a high vibrational being. This was not high vibrational at all. This was almost at human level. And she comes over to me, and I knew she's starting to like trick me and get me back. One of the things, mantises are very telepathic. Um, Most of the time, the ones that are positive will tone down their telepathic abilities to integrate with humans. When I first started talking to the mantises, I couldn't hold a conversation more than a few minutes because there was too much of it. But over the years, it's gotten better. So they can get in your head and start, making you think stuff, making you feel stuff that isn't yours. So you also have to check your feelings and your own thoughts and make sure, oh, is this what I'm thinking, or is this, or a little like that. So we're talking, and something comes up, and I realized the mantis was going to get a little angry. And so what I did was I called up my white light, I called up all my gold lights, and I illuminated myself and put up my shield. The mantis then got really, really angry. Like she was going to get violent and attack me. She was jealous. I had never seen something like, to me, there was such an alien concept for a mantis to have these base emotions of greed, jealousy, anger, envy. And she's getting ready to attack me. And I says, you can't have this light. And she goes, I go, what you need to do is you need to get your own. And she just turns to me, very scary, very fierce, and goes, how? And I said, what you do is you call to the white light of the divine source, ask to be illuminated, let it shine your soul, and perform a protective layer. And she goes, it won't work. I go, did you try it? So she says it. And that instant, she stopped. The whole room changed. And this mantis, this black mantis that was in the military, was definitely a Nazi one. She lit up, like her whole personality changed. She illuminated, and her light was beautiful. It was like, that's what I wanted to see. And she was like, she said, thank you very much, and just walked away. Now she come back the next day, and I see her there, and she's much better. She's even got a little bit of purple in her now. Before she was all black, now she has a little color. And she sees me playing with my dog, and she looks at it and goes, is that dog really that important to you? It really does help you. I go, yeah, I love my dog. And she goes, well, maybe I'll get one. I go, they're a lot of work. And she goes, I know they're a lot of work. I go, just watch some videos on YouTube about dog ownership and find the right breed for you. She goes, I will, thank you. But it was weird that she had this like little personality metamorphosis into this being. Now she still works for them, and she still recruits me, tries to recruit me. But then she comes like 2 weeks later, and I see her manifesting, and she's a little bit taller, and she's in full regalia, like her
Oh,
hat. She has a
wow.
hat, and I'm like, wait, what are you doing here? And they go, and this is what she tells me. She goes, oh, I'm your new liaison. I'm like, you're my new liaison? They go, yeah. They said because we work so good together that we were going to keep doing it. I go, we worked good together. You tried to attack me. I told you to get a light, and then you got better. And I go, for them, I consider that working well together.
Wow. So can you get an idea? Because I got that mantis head appear in my mind,
Yeah,
but
they're
it
all
was
around you.
they're all around me.
Yeah,
But it
I
was
can see
when I
like
saw
three of
it, I was
them.
like, aha. And it
I can
was as
see
if it
three of
said to
them.
me, there you are. And I was like, yeah. Because
Yeah,
Christy Campbell had said I'd given me the mantis card. And I
yeah.
thought, okay, when I lived in India, I had a little praying mantis fly through my window and sit next to me, and it freaked me out because up close, these little ones are really like, you know, different looking. So they're all around me. Tell me more about that, please.
You have two tall ones, dark ones, and one small one over there telling the Greys to leave her alone for right now. The Greys, one of the telling the Greys to over there.
So
Now,
I've got Grey's and mantis around me right now,
yeah, the Greys are telling them, the Mantis are telling the Greys just to leave her alone for right now.
just while you're here, and then they
Yeah,
can bother me later. I don't consent. Do not consent.
wonderful, absolutely
Thank you.
wonderful. Keep saying that.
Yeah, it's getting crowded in here. Leave.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and you
Yeah.
got
I
something.
do try and, and calling kind of like cosmic power, and I know that my place is, they shouldn't be bothering me. Yeah.
Also, as far as contacting ETs, do not do it in your bedroom.
Okay.
You have to set up boundaries. Tell
Yeah.
them, listen, we'll meet you here at this location, because otherwise, if you start calling entities into your bedroom, other entities will be like, well, he showed up in your bedroom. Why can't I be here?
Yeah. Well, I'm not trying to call them into my bedroom, apart from that one light being. Because somebody said, oh, you've got a seventh dimensional light being that's trying to make contact with you. And I was like, okay. So for 10 nights, I went to bed and I was like, please, please, please come
Well,
forward.
there's something
And
directly behind you that's like the mantises don't really like the fact that it's there. They're like trying to shield it.
What is
So
it?
that being behind you,
Is that the
behind
light
them,
beam?
yeah, whatever it is, it's trying to get through. I'm seeing it more as a purple and an orange that
Okay.
are like trying
I'm
to
not
push
sure then.
away.
Because
Like
the luminescent light being that merged with me, it kind of came at me and it was above, really above my body, and we interlocked our eyes. So that's all I know. But it felt like it was on me, like it became me, is how it felt. But I
right.
spoke to somebody and they said no, it was just above you, but it was kind of locked in. What else can you
What I'm
see?
what that being is trying to tell me is it's trying to raise you into a different location, so these particular mantises won't bother you as much. The
Okay.
mantises I'm seeing you with right now are not 100% positive. They're not.
Is
I would
this
say they have
why
the
I'm
best.
in so much pain all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So for what you can do to stop the psychic attacks when that happens is simply picture the attack, whatever you're feeling, even if you don't see the detail, picture the attacker being surrounded in mirrors, just a bunch of mirrors around them.
Okay.
And just say to yourself, whatever comes back on me goes to you threefold.
I'm Robert Yogley.
If that works for you too, but just the mirror. Yeah, laughing at them actually does work too.
Okay, that's good.
But yeah, just if you feel the attack, like right
Yeah.
now, I'm putting the mirrors around
Uh,
those two, they're over there, and the other one over there, and they don't like that at all.
okay. When I had a session with Misha last year, she said I've got a galactic consortium of guides. Can you get an idea of that? Who are they? Where are they?
Okay, they have you. I'm seeing at least five beings, different races. You are, I won't say you're not a council member, but you're like on charge of records.
Yeah. I have
You're
been
like
told
a
that I am on a council in Venus. So there's
okay,
an
because I'm
aspect of
getting
me
more of
that's there.
like you're not on the main council, but you are really important to what goes on.
Okay.
So for that part, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why the SSP wants you. And
Okay.
that's okay. So that's what's going on over here. So those mantises are trying to keep you from your council and your galactic origin, which you can just take them. You can just say that's not going to work anymore and say, I'll meet
Yeah.
with my galactic people.
So some kind of record keeper.
Yeah. I don't
Okay.
want to say like secretary or something, more like a steward would be a better word.
Yeah.
Like a records. I
Chopin
don't know a
said
records.
that I'm like high management.
Yeah, that would be a good
Okay.
way. So,
Yeah, I'm a boss.
yeah, you're dependable, and that's what they're trying to get from you. As we're speaking right now, I can see you being raised up, and the mantises that are at that lower frequency are literally unable to touch you, and they're like realizing that their little thing is up. Bye bye, guys, you're done. She's her own person.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like I said, just do the shielding, the laughing, the
Yeah.
sovereignty,
I
and
actually teach laughter yoga, so that's good. And I've been
okay,
knowing I need to bring it in more.
every day, every
Yeah.
single day.
Yeah.
Also, if you have the ability, um, turn the Wi-Fi off when you go to sleep.
Well, I've been having trouble with the Wi-Fi because they keep kind of targeting me through the Wi-Fi, dropping out connections. But when I
Yeah.
switch it off, it got so bad I couldn't switch it back on for 3 days. So they messed with me so bad that I couldn't do my work. It was as if like, how dare you switch it off?
Yeah,
And
that's
then
what they'll do that to.
I have
Yeah,
like
but
helicopters over my house and all this kind of stuff. So I
yeah,
can't
had that
switch it
fun.
off. I can't switch it
Yeah,
off because they're going to mess with me too much if I do.
yeah, but do you need your peace when you sleep? So
I'm not capable of sleep.
do you, is there, how much caffeine do you have before night?
Well, I I have to live on Pepsi Max because it's the only way
Oh,
I
don't
can
drink that
cope.
stuff. That's horrible.
It's the only way I can cope. So
Oh,
that's
come
my
on.
only vice. I don't have any other vice. That's the only one. Um, and nobody has been able to free me from this contract with the Pepsi Max.
Do you want to be free of it?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, so simply what we're going to do right now is picture in your head right now that you have a contract with Pepsi.
Okay.
Picture like there's a big Pepsi logo, there's a
Yeah.
contract, and what I want you to do is I want you to picture having you a stamp saying voided.
Okay. That's really hard.
I know it's going to be hard.
Okay.
Do the motion. Just picture the thing and say Pepsi and just say void on it. Slam it down like a heart. Make the physical motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Void. Okay. I'm gonna void. I'm gonna write that down.
Okay. Now, like I
Tell
said,
me
I know
if
this
that
is
works, because no one else, and even I do Akashic record work as well, and I've tried a lot to clear out anything related to that, and it's a coping mechanism, isn't it? So
I know, yeah. I had mine for those for years.
yeah, I'm gonna have to
I'm
go
not
in a
saying like
minute.
give it up completely if it gives you like certain pleasure, but like not every day or something like
Yeah.
that.
I'm gonna have to go in a minute, but this has been so amazing, and I would love to connect with you like every day right now.
Okay, we can do this again next week if you want.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Thank you. I'd love to do a proper podcast with you as well, so I can, really find out more about you, because I see you on all these people's interviews, but we don't really get your personality come through, and we just kind of get you talking about your stories. And I'd much rather know a bit more about you as well, because, and relax with you like we are now, because,
Okay. I
yeah,
will
'cause I
try for
love
next
that.
week and see where it goes.
Yeah, perfect. All right. I'm gonna
I hope
stop
some
the
of this
recording.
helped. I hope I was able to answer some of your questions.
Yeah,
I'll try and get more into it by next week. See if I can find out more. Usually the more I talk to someone, the more I get. So as it comes on, more will come
yeah,
up. But like I said, just maintain your sovereignty, keep your shielding up. That stuff really does matter. It was
yeah.
very nice meeting you.
Thank you so much.